Hey everybody, the Switch 2 has been out for right at 1 week, and since then there has been a couple of different developments in the hacking scene in regards to the Switch 2, and I thought I would recap everything that I've seen so far and tell you what is real and what is fake. So let's go ahead and begin with one of the very first things that we saw, and it was by a person called David Buchanan over here on Blue Sky, and what they wrote on June the 5th was Userland ROP on day one. You might be wondering what Userland is, and basically this is an attack that exploits a vulnerability in the software that is only running in the user space. So things that's part of the operating system and user level programs. Now, this is not a kernel exploit, which would give us a lot more functionality, but again, this one is limited in the user space, which means not much will come out of this if you're looking to do things like run backups. ROP over here stands for Return-Oriented Programming. And really what this does right here is it manipulates a call stack to execute existing code within the program's memory. Now, another thing with ROP is that it typically starts with the stack buffer overflow, which there's lots of ways to do that, and primarily it's through save games. So taking a look at the video here, you will see that they are able to create this kind of animation in just this little tiny screen, because later on the author has stated that it would have required a lot more resources in order to have drawn this for the full screen. Now, the author did state in here to clarify, I don't have native code execution. This is all in a Userland ROP. And if you're wondering why it's only a tiny square in the corner, if I tried drawing the whole screen, the frame rate would be terrible. So if you're wondering what firmware was used on this, it was 20.1.1. As we can see, there is this message here, and it stated, was this before or after applying the day one update? And this was created after applying the day one update. Now, if you're wondering how David pulled this off, he absolutely hasn't shared any information, but as you know, I've been covering exploits for years here on the channel, and from what I gather, what he did was he went over to HackerOne with Nintendo, found one of these exploits, and heck, it may have even been this Xenoblade Chronicles exploit, and was able to inject it into the save game. As you might remember, I was talking just a second ago about stack buffer overflows and manipulation through save games. And right here you can see that it does state that a malicious user could write arbitrary flags in save files. And again, if you just look down through this, I don't think you would have a very hard time finding at least one game or one game that has a save that you would be able to manipulate. Then funny enough, right here is actually a buffer overflow that I was talking about just a second ago. So more than likely, David just used one of those games in order to get that Userland ROP. Now, those of you that follow the PlayStation scene are probably very familiar with this one right here, which was a Userland ROP execution for PS5 4.03. It happened right around here in January the 27th, 2022. Now, obviously, things matured with this, and we found a kernel exploit to chain it with, but it is always good to at least have a Userland ROP available for a console. Now, the next story that I've seen a lot of people talking about is this video right here, which is titled, I broke Zelda with a modded save on Switch 2. This is another one that is absolutely real. And so in this video, what you will find is that they had a hacked Switch 1 and the game Zelda. They were able to manipulate that save game, which is pretty easy, to do things like infinite health, etc. And then they imported that save over on a Switch 2. Now, I believe you can 100% do this and not have any problems whatsoever out of Nintendo for it. You'll find that it is absolutely false that restoring a save game will brick your console, even if that save was manipulated on a Switch 1. So do keep that in mind. This is totally safe, at least as of this moment, to do things like giving yourself items and so forth. Now, the next one that made its way around the scene was this post by Switch2 Stock. They said Nintendo is investigating a major security vulnerability reported through its bug bounty program on the Switch 2. A hacker has allegedly found a way to execute code even before the console's secure boot process. And they provide some context here of what versions they were on. And this one is 100% fake. And what's silly about this is not only looking for a Switch 2 Stock X account to provide information, but also to come down here and where folks ask for the source, the answer is apologies. The source wants to remain anonymous. So obviously this was 100% just a way to try to get some likes and get people following their account. So of course they can push you over to all of these other places like Discord and their Telegram where you can buy crap. So hands down, I would not recommend following this account, and I would not use it for any sort of Switch 2 hacking news. Next up, there has been a number of these videos where folks take a MigSwitch, and well, what you'll see is that the games do show up. As you can see, that one right there just popped up. They'll go ahead and they'll click on it, and they will start the game, and the game starts running perfectly fine. There was multiple edits in this video that I can tell you that says that this is 100% fake. So disregard videos like this. But there was a person named Teedle that said it's been jailbroken that showed a pretty obvious Atmosphere 2 application, so to speak, running on a Switch 2. This is absolutely fake, even though it's received almost 1,000 likes here. And if you're saying, Michael, this is so obvious, why are you even wasting my time with it? Well, it's because, as you can see right over here, people are asking that question. Has Teedle actually modded the Switch 2? They say, sorry if this is a joke, but I have no idea if it's real or not. So anyways, if you want to know if things are real, Chinese modders have already created a way for NVMe drives to be used on the Switch 2. So obviously this is a prototype that they have created, and as you can see, this right here plugs into the micro SD Express port on the Switch 2, and then of course you can use M.2 drives with it. Now there is an open source project that has been created and folks are working on it, and really there's been updates on this just a few hours ago, and this is a micro SD Express to M.2 adapter project. So basically they're doing the same exact thing, but what they're going to do here is they are going to keep it all completely open and then provide all of the information about some of the pins and the layouts, what the wiring schematic looks like, and so forth. So anyways, if you do want to keep an eye on this project right here, I would highly recommend that you do. And in future videos, when this becomes a little bit more stable, I'll be doing this on the channel. Okay, so there was also an update that was called Stab in the Dark, but no harm in trying, adding a Japanese game demo to your Switch 2. Now, I will say that I do not think that anything is going to come out of this at all, mainly because the Nintendo Switch isn't like the PlayStation 5, and where the PlayStation 5 uses a Redis server, and heck, I mean, we've been able to get things like Hello World and running Lua commands, pretty much since October 2022. And then just a little bit later on, we saw a couple of different proof of concepts running these Lua scripts from save data, as this example that I did back here on the PlayStation 4. So if you are wondering if you should go ahead and download these games and create a Japanese account, I would say it's probably not going to be worth your time. Otherwise, I would definitely have done a video on it by now. Now, if you're kind of wondering what to do as we develop further in the scene, I would go ahead and start taking a look at a couple of these different Switch 2 teardowns. Now, there is a great one over here by iFixit, and what's kind of interesting is that you can see through this, they break down the full controller, and down at the end, they show what it looks like completely disassembled. Now, they did give this console a really bad repairability score, being 3 out of 10. Now, if you're looking for another breakdown of this, one of my personal favorite YouTubers is Tronics Fix, and he did a breakdown as well. Now, this one goes pretty fast, so it's about 10 minutes long, but another great video to kind of keep you busy in between things. And again, of course, if you haven't tried it out, there's a couple of things that I think you should do, such as activating the Switch 2 web browser, which you can do this right now, doing things like updating your Joy-Cons in case you're planning on just staying at 20.1.1, switching between DNS servers, turning off Switch 2 auto updates, and then also how to be sure that your Switch 2 will not update. So again, stay tuned to the channel as I'm going to be making more videos regarding Switch 2 Homebrew.